I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. This is a case that people have asked me to talk about, the Menendez brothers resentencing, or for me to talk about my thoughts about their case. I do have a prior video where I talked about the documentary, well, not documentary, the Netflix series that was done. I did not, some of the portrayals in the series, there were a lot of liberties taken, and the family disagreed with a lot of the way that they were portrayed in that series. And so I talked about that and also covered because there was a therapist that was Eric Menendez's therapist that ended up losing his license because he was recording conversations without his client's knowledge. And he also shared confidential information. I don't think I can say alleged, like I think it's been proven he shared confidential information with his mistress. And that's just all kinds of wrong. And so I talked about all those things in a prior video. In the video where I covered the series, I did talk about how I thought there was a good chance that they might be resentenced because they were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. But back when they were tried and sentenced, there was information that was not allowed to come in front of the jury that likely would have come before the jury now. There is a lot of, especially back then, and there can continue to be some bias when male victims of SA come forward. And while because even just today, I watched somebody cover some. There was a lawyer that was providing some information about what might happen down the road, and there were conversations about the parole board. If they continue to say that they feared for their life in that moment when they did the act or the incident, the lawyer didn't think that they actually did fear for their life. And honestly, based on all the reports about their father now, were they fearing for their life with their mother? I don't know. That one might be questionable. But with their father, he allegedly was essaying other boys, and he sounds like he was just a horrific person. And that doesn't justify somebody unaliving someone, but looking at this situation, I could see how they could have feared for their life. The father was about to run for political office, and there were some threats of if this did come forward, they allege, and I don't know if it's true, they allege that their father had threatened them. And up until the father dying, Eric Menendez, there are reports that he was continuing to be harmed by the father. And so that's where I understand why the parole board and why, and so the judge was the one that decided to resentence them to 50 years to life with the possibility of parole. They have already served 35 years. And during that time, even when they weren't eligible for parole, they started programs in the jail. It's my understanding that they've done a lot to try to rehabilitate people that were serving death sentences or life sentences. There was a former criminal judge that gave, on one show, I don't even remember the name of the show, my bad. If you really want me to find it, just comment in the regular part of the video and I will link that video and pin the comment. But there was a former criminal judge that now trains therapy dogs and goes into prisons and does some other work as well. He interacted with them, and he was called as an expert witness, not as as a character witness in their resentencing. Um, Yes. Okay, so it looks like there might be a Peacock documentary. I haven't seen that one yet. I agree that the second trial, there were a lot of issues, and there were the first jury was hung, and I think a lot of the SA evidence or a lot of those allegations did come in during that trial. During the second trial, the judge they disallowed a lot of that information in, and I think if the jury had known it might have changed their mind. It might have made it second degree, or I don't know what the jury would have decided. I do think that what they did, that there should have been a consequence, and they have served 35 years. It's my understanding that their families are supportive of them possibly being released. And when a person is granted parole, they're not just free to do whatever they want. There are often conditions. And so there might be conditions with their parole for therapy, for ongoing, if there are certain screenings, or if there are certain check-ins with a probation officer. So there may be these things in place, and they would be very high profile if they were released. And my mind just goes back to Gypsy. Like, Gypsy Rose did not serve that much time. And okay, I'll just let the dot 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 go for that one. All right. So there was a hearing, was it last week? Maybe 2 weeks ago. Let me see. I'm pulling up a calendar. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and they wanted them to be. Let me get times. All right, and so yes, it was May 13th, they were resentenced to 50 years to life in prison, which makes them eligible for parole. The parole process will be long and could take years. Eric and Lyle Menendez were initially sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for the 1989 unaliving of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. They have the support of over 20 family members in their efforts to be freed. And after the resentencing, Eric released a statement saying, "I am touched and humbled by the outpouring of support." And I think after the docuseries, because I think there was like a TikTok campaign wanting them to be resentenced or possibly released. Like, it reminded me of the Free Britney, or when people kind of get behind a cause. And there was a lot of social media out there about their case. And then I think he went on to say, this has to be the first step in giving people who have no hope in prison some hope. My goal is to ensure that there are no more people serving 35 years in prison without hope. Now, I think it depends on the rehabilitation, because there are some people that might not be able to be rehabilitated. So people like, I'm just and I don't know about but I'm not thinking Jody Hildebrandt. I have concerns about if she can be rehabilitated, because I don't know that she thinks she did anything wrong. Or Lori Vallow Daybell, like, I don't know that she'll ever admit that she did anything wrong, which makes her pose a major risk to the community. It sounds like they did their work, and they did um, make improvements. Lyle told the judge, "I killed my mom and dad. I give no excuses." Um, all right. And then Eric Menendez told the judge, I committed an atrocious act. My actions were criminal, selfish, and cowardly. Dot dot dot. No excuse, no justification for what I did." He admitted to lying for years and apologized. Okay. Um, and then Eric Menendez went on to say, "I have come a long way on this path. I will not stop trying to make a difference." This was an absolutely horrific crime. So the judge said this was an absolutely horrific crime. I'm hopeful and glad that we're one huge step closer to bringing the boys home. So that's what the attorney said on their behalf. That this encourages people who are incarcerated to make the right decisions, to take the right path. It is just a win-win on so many levels. All right. And then some family members released statements, and because they have the support of their family. And then that's where the retired judge that worked with therapy dogs, on the stand, said that the brothers are looked at as leaders and have changed his views on inmate rehabilitation. He said he used to want to punish defendants, but because of the brothers and their work to help the elderly and other inmates, he now believes in rehabilitation. And that's a former criminal judge. So, yeah. The prosecution did not call any witnesses. And so, um, all right. And so that was the judge's decision. Let me know if y'all have any specific questions, because I do definitely believe that they were, I believe they were harmed by their brothers. Somebody said that they watched the I can't say that, Menundo, that they watched something that talked about one of the members from that group and their experience with the father, their harm that the father did. Um, I agree. I believe their story. Lisa, that's how I felt. I thought that they deserved a chance to go before the parole board because it'll ultimately be up to that parole board to take a look at their history. So their discipline history, to take a look at any statements of support, and that they'll be able to move forward that way. All right. Let me see. My screen switched. All right, there we go. I like this. You can't change unless you want to. And I agree that taking ownership of someone's behaviors are very, very important. And it does seem as though they have accepted responsibility. And it was hard because the father seemed, but I think there were also allegations. The Netflix show Monsters, because I think the mom, I think there was some possible essay stuff with mom too, because I think she like took nude pictures of them, or like there was some weird stuff with mom too. And mom was aware of the harm because uh, there are allegations that the mother did not protect them and knew what was happening and would like regularly examine Eric's private areas to see if there was anything, because she was concerned about catching something herself. And so that means that you're aware of what's happening. And so, yeah. So yeah, I didn't watch this one. I did not watch that one. In the resources section of this video, I do have resources, because often people that watch these videos, there might be somebody that knows somebody that might need a therapist or might need support. And I'm not I'm not promoting myself. I'm saying therapy in general, because and it can be really hard to find the right therapist. And if somebody does have a history of significant traumas, negative life events, finding a therapist that is trained. Because we talk a lot about trauma informed and we don't talk about trauma trained. So, trauma informed care or trauma informed therapy is just the therapist is aware. It's like a mindset to have, that you try to understand what happened to the person. You conceptualize diagnosis through the lens of what's happened. And that's kind of what that means. It does not mean that that therapist is trained in how to treat trauma. That is a separate thing. I have done trauma informed care training before, but then I did deeper trauma treatment interventions. And I've mentioned to you all, I'm really excited. And it's because of the support here on YouTube that I'm able to do my EMDR certification. So I am starting that process in, I think, August or September. It is going to be, I think, because I'm level one is, I think, 6 months long. So EMDR training, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It's a way to reprocess trauma. When bad things happen, they don't get stored, they don't get filed away in the brain. They can kind of be stuck as these little fragments. And that's why people can have flashbacks. That's why it can kind of pop up when people aren't expecting, because those memories haven't been processed. And EMDR focuses on the sensations that a person experienced and then helps them to manage, um, to reprocess those experiences without experiencing the negative. So without being overwhelmed or extremely distressed. And some therapists use their finger. So, like the client follows their eye. Like some therapists might use their finger. Some therapists might use a pen or pencil. Some therapists that do telehealth, they might have something else. There are some simple, so this is not EMDR, but this is just a thing. It's just a general technique. I'm going to show you and then I'll explain it. It's called a butterfly hug, and, you interlock your thumbs, and you just tap on one side and then the other while you breathe, and just going from this side to this side, the crossing of the arms, if somebody is really overwhelmed, sometimes things like that can help. Some of you all know I experience panic attacks, and, Melissa, I do see your question, and I've highlighted it. Lisa, I've also see your question, and I've saved it as well. I experience panic attacks sometimes. It only happens like a few times a year. It's not frequent or often. Often when life is getting like overwhelming and I'm not going to the gym or like I'm not taking care of myself, that's when it can kind of pile up on me. And so in those moments, honestly, I just lay on the floor and I lift my feet over my head and because they normally last for less than a minute for me, and so normally just doing that, doing my breathing. I have a watch where I can keep track of my heart rate, and that's that's what happens. And then Lisa, you can't interlock your finger, so you can just put it there. You don't have to lock it. You can just you can just do that. You don't have to interlock it. All right. And so Lisa commented, "Have I read Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome?" I don't think so. I like to do audiobooks. So I've went to trainings about it. I don't think I've read the actual book. So yes, I have done trainings and research with it. I have not, and I like because we talk about generational trauma. There are a few other books. It's called it's like grandmother's, oh my gosh, it's a trauma book. Trauma. It's not grandmother's hands, but for some reason that is stuck in my head. Trauma book. Yes, My Grandmother's Hands. That was the book. That talk. So I've read that one. And then It Didn't Start With You. That's another good book. A friend of mine, social media friend, wrote Break the Cycle, A Guide to Healing Intergenerational Trauma by Dr. Mariel, and I can't even say Buquet. It sounds French. But I have, let me share this tab. So this is her book. So I have taken a look at that as well. So those are some of the ones I've looked at. And then what do you think of Eric and Lyle? What do I think they would need to adjust to life on the outside? So for somebody that's been incarcerated for 35 years, I don't know if they have access to the internet. So often, like phones and social media, the technology, there's so much technology that rules our world now. uh, I went to a restaurant the other day and you had to scan a QR code to pull an order from your phone. At a similar restaurant, you also had to pay from your phone as well. And so some of the technology that can be really difficult for someone. Um, I know somebody that was incarcerated on and off over a period of time. I think it might have only been on and off for maybe 6 or 8 years, but when they finally were released, they were overwhelmed with how to like work an iPhone or an Android phone. So some of that can be a lot. Um, at first, a person might miss the because they've grown up in jail. Like Lyle was 18 when the whole process started, and I think no, not Lyle. Eric was 18, and I think Lyle was like 20, and so they've grown up incarcerated. And so, like, adjusting to everyday life, that can be a big adjustment. Often, sometimes people do get, like, a therapy dog. There can be trauma symptoms. So jails are loud places. They're not quiet. So they've been so I'm guessing where they are housed, I'm guessing like it's a locked I'm guessing there's like locks on the door. There are other places, there are other countries where their prisons are more open and it's not this like mm, sterile cedar block, just this white space. And I think they've worked hard. So I don't know what their current environment is like. I think there might have been some interviews with them. I don't know if they ever shared like a picture of their jail cell or anything. Um, one of them, I think, is currently married. I think the other one is going through a separation, but then adjusting to possibly like dating in the real world. uh, so I've been married for going on 12 years. 12, yes, going on 12 years. And even for me, like all the apps and all those things have just been a lot. So they do have tablets, but they often don't have access to it's not like a regular access, it's not a regular device. So I think there's just that prison app that they can use, depending on the jail. And California might have more technology that's available to them than other places, but the the feedback I've heard is catching up with the new technology that can be hard. Um, yeah, keeping up with just everyday news and just all of those things. Yeah. So somebody mentioned growing up in a facility and needing noise. And so I could imagine that they might struggle with complete silence because in a jail, when it goes completely silent, sometimes that means something bad is about to happen. And so sometimes the person that doesn't have trauma symptoms, you go into an incarceration setting and then they can experience a lot. I'm guessing that they are working with some therapist. I'm guessing they've done some therapy. I hope that they have. And then I hope that they would have therapist support to help them on the outside. They could I th- they could likely become paid speakers cuz like what type of job or career do you have at that point? Do you just take some time to just be home and sleep and adjust to sleeping in a regular bed? Like, there's so much that can happen. Um, all right. Ah, yeah, and then Lisa mentioned, leaving New York, not liking the quiet. So when I visit New York, we normally hear sirens and ambulances. Just you hear everything, people honking all night long, and I prefer the quiet. That's what I prefer. Yeah, so I don't know what they will do for money. Um, they they likely will be paid to do media, appearances. I'm guessing that they will. I'd recommend that they stay off social media. I don't know if that will be possible. So I don't think social media was a good thing for Gypsy. That's just my own personal thoughts. Gypsy would get into like arguments with the chat and seem to, I don't know, there was a lot of drama. There's a lot going on. I would recommend that they stay off social media, or if they are going to have social media, to have somebody else manage it and to not respond to hate. Those would be my general recommendations and thoughts. Yeah. So because they yeah, so I wonder if if somebody else, because they might have the support of their family, that will likely be a consideration with parole, is what type of support that they have, and it does sound like, that they have a lot of support. Yeah, Gypsy, I wish her all the best, but I recommend that she stay off social media, but she won't because I think just personally, I think she likes the attention, but in a way that like exploits people. So she was, in my opinion, exploited by her mom. And then I have concerns that I don't know if she's had her child yet, but I have general concerns, not big concerns, and I hope people just leave her alone. I've stopped watching, I've stopped following updates. I just can't. Yeah. And so somebody mentioned struggling with going to the grocery store and everything. And so that's where they might, because they're public figures. Like if they go to the grocery store, people are going to recognize who they are. And there will be some people that won't agree with them being out. There will be people that will have thoughts and like, because they're kind of celebrities. So their trial and OJ Simpson's trial, and that was back probably when widespread, like across the coast, maybe across the globe, coverage started. Their case was highly publicized, and so, I could imagine it being difficult. I could imagine that. Thank y'all for asking me to cover this. As I mentioned on the last stream, I am moving into my new office this Saturday. I will likely post by Tuesday. I'll definitely have something out on Instagram, Shorts, and TikTok. It'll be the same video, but I will have my final office reveal with all the furniture, my office and lobby. Super excited. My official start date is June 1st. And my landlord gave me early access this weekend. And so I am moving in, super excited about that. But that means I'm not going to stream on Saturday because my kiddo also has a birthday party, all the things. We're moving into a new office and kiddos going to a birthday party. And then after that, I'm gonna have to like relax for a second. Maybe if I let myself do that. I don't know. It's fun times. I am so, so, so excited. For anyone that missed it, because my favorite part is the lobby. Did it load? It might not have loaded. Let me see. If you go over to the community tab, it's definitely there. I don't think oh, yeah, it did. There we go. So I'm gonna share my screen one more time. Yes, we're gonna have a happy moving day. All right, gonna share this one. So this is my new lobby, and I'm gonna add a bookshelf and a end table for one of those lamps, and then I'm gonna figure everything else out. And then the office part, I'm gonna move all of that on Sunday. I'm gonna share the organization that I'm using. So I am in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I found a veteran-owned moving company, and so, I will just be sharing as long as the move goes smoothly. If I don't mention their name, then, like, it didn't go smoothly. I'm believing the move is gonna go smooth, and I will just free of charge, just mention their name. I got a really good quote, and I'm really excited about the move. Yes. And so I'm super, super excited. Yes. I I love, love, love the new lobby. And this is my first time decorating a lobby. So I've always decorated my own office. Back when I worked for a larger company, they would sometimes restrict the types of desk or they would restrict what I could do. So once I got my own office 5 years ago, back in 2020, I was so excited to put up curtains because the place I worked at, they wouldn't let me put up curtains. I thought that was silly. But, my new office, I am doing the lobby and my office, and so super duper excited. I'm making minor tweaks and changes. I work with clients that have, trauma and that also have autism, and so I've been giving people a heads up. I've been showing them progress along the way so that they can prepare. The good thing, the office I'm in now is literally, like, around the corner. Like, I can walk from my it's probably a 5-minute no, maybe probably 2-minute walk from my current office to my new office, and, and there's nothing bad that happened. My lease just expired. So I had a 5-year lease, and the landlord wants to sell the building. The building is falling apart. So it's good that I'm leaving. We had squirrels. I don't know if y'all remember that because I think I went live one time and I was like, hey, because we had squirrels that would scamper above in the ceiling, not like on the roof, like in the actual ceiling. That scared me. But they sent somebody out to handle that situation. But I am glad to get a fresh start. My landlord has been awesome. Um, like, you just need curtains. And so I'm super excited. I thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all for the support. And Jenny, don't worry, ignore Nightbot. Ignore Nightbot in the chat. You're fine. I so appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And I will see y'all next Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.